This is Gemara Baba Basra Daf Sadi Dalin. We'll learn this month. The month of Elul has been generously sponsored by a close friend of the Daf as Eschos Alias Neshama for Rizal Basra Meir B'siyata Dishmaya. The learning of the entire Chabura should bring Rizal Basra Meir to a higher and higher place in Gan Eden Shalmayla, closer to the Kisei HaKavod B'siyata Dishmaya. And we're holding on the bottom of Sadi Gimel Amid Beis at the Mishnah as well. Anyone who would like, we're starting a campaign, L'schos, Tinaik ben Miriam Ahuva, to sign up, whether it's a Kabbalah for Aleinu, whether it's a Kabbalah for Nishmas, receive a free art scroll book. Please, we will post in Mirza Hashem the link in the descriptions of the shir below. Says the Mishnah, "My chaver is the chaver Rizel mekabel of roive tinofais lisa." Someone sells piros lechaveroi to his friend. The buyer accepts a quarter kav of tinofes, impurities per saw that he purchased. Te'inim, for figs, mekabel of eser metulais lemea. He accepts 10 wormy ones per 100. Martev shall yayin, a seller of wine, mekabel of eser koisesais lemea. He accepts 10 barrels of sour wine per 100. Kankanim basharain, kankanim, kegs in place called Sharon, mekabel of eser pitasais lemea. 10 inferior ones per 100. So the Mishnah detailing the different norms, how much impure, how much unfit items one has to be willing to accept whenever they buy different items. Says the Gemara, 2 lines from the bottom, Tani Rav Katina, Roiva Kitinias Lisa. Says the Rav Katina, a quarter cut of kidneys per saw. However, that's, when the Mishnah says tinaifes, that's what it refers to. Says the Gemara, vafrorius loy, but one is not allowed to include the afar, the dirt. But what does that mean? Varabba barachia ketusva mishmei de rabba. Rabba Rachim Tiksva is the name of Rabba Bayer Sarim Migarnish Chaveri, one who picks up pebbles out of the wheat of his friend's greenery as we turn over to Sadi Dalid Amid Aleph. Noisin Loi Demei Chitim. He gives it, and included in the sale is the Demei Chitim, is the value of the wheat, of the pebbles he removes. So what do we see? We see that the buyer does indeed accept afrarios, pebbles, rocks, and etc. Says the Gemara, kitnius raiva. When it comes to kidneys, you accept a quarter kav. Afrarios pachis me raiva. When the Brisa said that kidneys you accept a raiva, that's kidneys. Does that mean you don't accept anything else? Says the Gemara, no. There are other things you accept, but that is less than a quarter kav. Ask the Gemara, really? Tanya, we learned in a Brisa, Mechaberes the Chaveroi, Chitin Mikabel of Roive, Kitinias Lisa, Siren Mikabel of Roya, Nishaives Lisa. When it comes to barley, you accept a Roive of Nishaives straw. Adashim, when it comes to lentils, Mikabel of Roive, Ferrarius Lisa. So my love, says the Gemara, from the fact that this Brisa says that when it comes to Adashim, you accept the Reva of the dirt. Seemingly says the Gemara, the same thing should be for a chitin, or the siren. Same thing should be for barley. That one, you have to accept a quarter kav. So why do we just say that you accept pachais less than that? Answers Gemara, shiny adashim to me akar akri lahu. Adashim are different, for they are uprooted from the soil, and therefore it's more likely to have a furious dirt soil inside of it. That is the reason, particularly when it comes to Adashim, you have to accept such a quality, but not in other areas. Says the Gemara, Taima, 10 lines down, the first 4 line is Elo. Taima da Adashim the Akar Akar Luhu. What do we just say? that the reason for Hadashim is because it's uprooted from the soil. When it comes to barley, when it comes to wheat, no. So from here we can learn out that when it comes to chita and tzari, you do not accept any afrarius, like the Rais said before. Says the Gemara, no raya. I'll tell you, chita tzari, you do indeed mekabel afrarius. Adoshim itzrichle, special chiddush by adoshim salka daitach. I would have thought so that the community giving him akalu yoiser meiroi vanami lekabel. There's a chiddush. It comes out of the soil, so I would think you even have to accept even more than a roiva. Kamash malon, that's the chiddush. You don't have to accept more, but you have to accept a roiva. Amar Rav Huna continues the Gemara. If someone comes, says Rav Huna, a buyer comes to sift the grain, and he finds more than he's accepted, than he wants, he can sift everything and return it all. There's a certain threshold one has to accept. But once we get to the place that there's more than that, then, says Rav Huna, you can return anything. Amrila dina of Amrila kanasa. Some say this is the din, that once there's too much, you can return everything. And some say this is a kanas. Explains the Gemara, Amrila dina, about 12 lines in the bottom. The first one line is law. Mandi of Zuzi Abiri Shabiri Yahiv. One who pays money wants to pay for good quality grain with no garbage at all. The roiva, until a roiva, then no, he doesn't care. Like tarach, and this person's not makbid or called. Yoisemi roiva, oh wow, it's tons of garbage. Tarach inish, but even the tarach v'kula. And once you're gonna start bothering yourself to figure out why there are impurities in the item that I bought, once you're bothering, you're going to check the whole thing, and that's how you could return all the impurities. That's one way of learning. V'amrila kinasa, says the Gemara, roiva shchiach, yoiser loy shchiach. Roiva is shchiach, we're not more than that. V'iyu, and he, hu de'ariv, v'kiva de'ariv, katura bonim b'kula, yoiser me roiva is not normal, and therefore, says the Gemara, Loi tarach, and it's Yosef Mirova tarach, and it's given the tarach. V'armila kinasa. Excuse me, I just went the wrong way. One more time. Roiva shchiach, Yoser loy shchiach, v'yu da'ariv. Therefore, we suspect that there's too much. He mixed it in. V'kivan da'ariv. And once we're suspecting that you mixed a little in, kansur avana be'kulu, then we can ask you on the whole thing. Says the Gemara again, we have simanim flowing from everywhere, such clear indicators that it's time to start utilizing simanim to help us memorize. Meisvei asks the Gemara 5 lines to the bottom. Kol sa shish v'roiva mimin acher yemayit. Any sav seeds that has more than a roiva yemayit, you reduce the extra before planting it. So savrua the roiva de kalayim. That a roiva of something that's called kalayim is more than a roiva with regard to a sale. That because the inderais of kalayim is more chamer. Katani yemayit. Yeah, one of the Bryces says yemayit, you reduce it. Zikasha and Rav Huna, who says that once you find too much, you'll have to return everything. Says the Gemara, Loi. Roiva de kalayim, ki roiva dach. It's the same thing, dummy. It's why in the case you just lessened, b'sham chomra de kalayim, because kalayim is so machmer. That's why the halacha by kalayim is yemayit. Says Gemara, this is true. As we turn over to Sadi Dalit Amid Beis Ema Seifa, as the Gemara. Let's look at the end of the Mishnah. Rav Yosi Omer Yavor says Rav Yosi, you remove all the garbage. You do breira, you remove all the foreign particles, says Rav Yosi. So elaborates the Gemara. Amre Bishlama Ki Yaiser Me Rav Tinay Dami. If you're going to tell me that when you find a roiva as did of Yoiser, then come if as follows. Have a look as in Atirati Surah Yoiser Katsinon. But what's the problem? I'm read 5 lines down. Kiraiva Adam Yamayavar. What's the reason? You're picking out all the garbage. Be like a roiva, which the buyer has to keep. Says the Gemara, Hasamay in the time of the Rabbi Yossi Mishom, Temechsi ki mekayim klayim. Says the Gemara, there's another thing at play that we have to be concerned about by klayim that has an appearance, a stigma. Therefore, you can't bring that as a raya at all to our sugya. Tashim Asu, continue with the second kasha. Shnayim shevki do it tzalachat zeman of zem masayim zemer matayim shliv zemer matayim shliv, a famous case. Each one claims the 200. What's halachos the zeman of mashayim munach achi yavo Eliyahu, and the third mana you leave for Eliyahu to come. So what's the kasha? The kasha is that you're allowed to claim back one mana. There's a kasha Ravuna who says that once there's some mistake, you have a mistake in everything. Once there's a little impurity, you have to accept all of them. Over here, we do allow him to stake by his original claim. Says the Gemara, Hachi Ashna. Hasam Vadai Manalamara Manalamar. Hachami Yemar Zavkula Aruve Arev. Over there, it's very possible that each one does get 100. But over here, it's not such a possibility. We're going to say that the seller mixed in so much garbage, so it's not a kasha. Tashema, we're smack in the middle of Sadidal and Mebeis. First word line is Aruve Arev. Says the Gemara, another kasha, another raya, I should say, to Ravuna. Tashemami Seifa, Rav Yosi. Emkin my hefser Rami Alakol Yemun Achashava Aliyahu famously comes along Rav Yosi and he says, the mana shlishi, no! You don't split it and just put the mana shlishi yemunach. The whole thing, harko yemunach. And therefore the Gemara is proving that we see that when something is unsure what to do, what do? You don't do a kanas. That we do a kanas in everything. So right, Ravuna who says that you have to return everything once you there's too many impurities. Says the Gemara, over there is for sure. They can't both be theirs. But in our case, we don't have any positive way to assume that he mixed it all in, and therefore it would not be a raya or a kasha. Now, one last Tashema raya to Rav Huna. Shtar sheishva ribis koinsin esayveno goiva. Lo yisay kerem, lo yisay ribis divir Meir. We have a shtar that it's a faulty shtar. That's ribis. You can't collect anything. So says the Gemara again, we have a right out which you're saying to Ravuna that we can ask the seller and he has to return all the impurities. Says the Gemara, no raya, also mishatz ksivu davalei shuma. Over here, maybe he doesn't have an arev, even if there's no raya. Stop over here, I'll pick it up from the Tashema, B'siyata, Dishmaya.